Spoiler alert.
With Chris Evans recently returning to the role of the Human Torch in Deadpool and Wolverine, and with Fantastic Four baby steps right around the corner, it got me thinking about those old Fantastic Four films. Now I personally always loved those films. As a kid I enjoyed watching those films in the same way that I enjoyed watching the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and it always saddened me that we never got a third Fantastic Four film with this cast. However, not everyone agrees with me on that. In fact, there's quite a lot of sentiment that these two Fantastic Four films actually suck. And the only reason that I would enjoy these films is because I saw them as a kid and look at them with rose-tinted goggles. So I thought, how about we put that theory to the test, and I recently rewatched both Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, and honestly, I still enjoyed both of these films, although I do admit that they are far from perfect and have been undeniably eclipsed by the MCU and plenty of other superhero projects that have been released since. Now the first thing that I noticed about the Fantastic Four film is its pacing. I don't know if it's because I've grown accustomed to longer films or I'm just used to binge watching entire seasons of a show, but the pacing, especially in the first film, is so fast. In less than 15 minutes from the film beginning, Reed and Ben are able to convince Victor Von Doom to let Reed study the cosmic clouds. We're then introduced to Sue and find out she and Reed used to be a thing. Then the film introduces Johnny, and then after that they all go up to the space station where they get hit by the cosmic rays that give them their abilities. In less than 15 minutes, the group have already gained their powers. For comparison, it takes nearly 45 minutes for the group to get their abilities in Fant4stic. Say what you will about that disaster of a movie, but I've always thought that it did the build up and the characters actually gaining their superpowers quite well. It's just that everything after them gaining their powers was completely awful. In the original, it just feels like the film rushed to give the characters their abilities, and we never really got to know much about who these people are before they become superpowered. Now I could understand the filmmakers wanting the Fantastic Four to be fantastic as soon as possible in the film, if they'd actually had the characters be super heroic in the film after that point. Instead though, the majority of the film is the characters just staying in quarantine and adapting to who they are now. In fact, when there is action in this film, it feels a little forced, as if they remembered this is a superhero film, so there's got to be a bit of fighting every now and then. Honestly, it does feel a little like the only reason Doom becomes evil in this film is because he had to, so there was a villain for the group to fight in the climax. Although Fant4stic does that same thing on an even worse scale. The point is, the only reason you would enjoy this film is if you like the characters and were happy to just watch them chillax for a bit. Luckily, I actually think that's the film's saving grace. I really like the characters in this film, and the casting for the film is excellent. I think this is a similar case to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, where the casting was perfection, but the writing and story didn't make the most of the cast. First of all, I like that the actors actually look like the comic characters that they're playing, especially Johan Griffith, who looks like Reed Richards himself stepped out of the comics. Secondly, they all provide the characters with much needed personality. Chris Evans was born to play the Human Torch and perfectly toes the line between being a jackass and just charming enough that you can't help but like him. And whilst I could definitely see people being disappointed by the lack of superheroics in a superhero film, some of the character moments really touched me. Especially when it comes to Michael Chiklis's The Thing. That scene on the bridge where he desperately tries to pick up his wife's wedding ring after she tosses it to the ground, but he can't pick it up because his fingers are just too big. That scene really made me feel for The Thing, and I think overall this film did an excellent job with Ben's character. This film isn't the strongest by any means, but it does have moments like this that really show the potential in the characters. I think the only member of the Fantastic Four that's a little disappointing is Sue Storm. Now that's not because of Jessica Alba, but instead because of how the filmmakers treated her character. Because Jessica Alba is a really attractive woman, Sue Storm gets naked, or at least down to her underwear, quite a few times in these two films. Now given Sue's abilities, I think this would be fine if it happened once. Chris Evans also gets his kit off in these films due to Johnny's powers. But with Sue, it seems like that's all these films wanted her to be, and it's no surprise that Jessica Alba considered quitting acting after making these films when during a crying scene, the director, Tim Story, apparently told her that when she was crying, it looked too real. Allegedly, he would then go on to say, "It looks too real, it looks too painful, can you be prettier when you cry? Cry pretty, Jessica. Don't do that thing with your face, just make it flat, we can CGI the tears in later." Ah yes, please actor that I've hired to act in this multi-million-dollar film, act worse, that'll surely lead to a better project. If this is true, then that's wild, and I really felt a lot of sympathy for Jessica Alba reading that, especially when you consider that she got a lot of flack for her performance in these films. For me, the reason that I ultimately enjoyed both of these films was because of the cast, and that does include Julian McMahon as Doctor Doom. I know Doctor Doom fans are a troubled people, longing for their beloved character to finally get the faithful adaptation he deserves. And just when it seemed like he might with Avengers Doomsday, Robert Downey Jr. swung his arms in the air and tapped his feet to the sound of $100 million and whispered gently into the ears of all those Doctor Doom fans, "Not today." But for me, someone who doesn't really care that much about Doctor Doom, I thought he did a great job with what the film was asking of him. Now if you thought people were mixed on the first film, that's nothing on the second one because they had the gall to make Galactus a cloud. Now to be honest, I'm not really connected to Galactus, so him being a space fart has never really bothered me. But I do absolutely hate what the MCU did to Taskmaster. They literally neutered the character. So whilst it doesn't bother me, I can understand why people hate the film for that reason. Even though Silver Surfer was cool in this film. Again, the casting was on point, both Doug Jones and Lawrence Fishburne are a winning combination for that character. Essentially, I enjoyed these films because they're simple fun. I don't need to watch 40 other films to enjoy them, and I don't need to worry about what comes after them either. They're not the greatest films to ever exist, but I did enjoy rewatching them. There's more here than what I think people give credit for. You have the great casting, the practical effects on the Thing are still really good, Johnny has a good arc of being less of a dick, and I really liked Victor Von Doom's mask. The point that I'm trying to make is that there was potential here. This cast could have delivered a great Fantastic Four film, and I am curious as to what the plans were for the cancelled third film and the Silver Surfer spin-off movie. Apparently, from what little I can find about the scrapped third film, Danny DeVito was going to play Mole Man, perfect casting striking again, but the main villain was actually going to be the Puppet Master, and somehow Black Panther was actually going to be in the movie. I don't know what they were planning with this film. And also, this is going to piss off the Galactus fans more now, allegedly the cancelled Silver Surfer spin-off movie would have seen Galactus sport his comic accurate look according to Tim Story. So you very nearly got what you wanted a decade ago. Let's just hope that with the new Fantastic Four film that they don't screw Galactus up. Look, at the end of the day, no matter how bad you think these films are, I think we can all agree that they're nowhere near as bad as Fan4stick. That film is just genuinely awful. But what do you think? Do you love the films? Do you hate them? And would you like to see the characters return in Secret Wars? Because apparently everyone is in that film. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And please like and subscribe, otherwise I will cry. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Any hotter and you're approaching supernova.
Sweet!
No, not sweet. That's the temperature of the sun.
Not only could you kill yourself, but you could set fire to Earth's atmosphere and destroy all human life as we know it.
Got it. Supernova. Bad.